If it's a bad meeting, it'll end very quickly. And if it's a good meeting, we're going to end up getting peace in the pretty near future, okay?
Two powerful world leaders meeting in Alaska Friday.
I think Putin came to the table because he understands strength and power.
I think both the presidents, Trump and Putin, will be safe on the base. I don't anticipate anything happening. I hope and pray it doesn't. But nonetheless, I think having it on the base makes a lot of sense from that perspective.
Preparations, conversations, and planning.
I'm glad they're coming. I'm glad they're here in Alaska.
You know, if they're going to talk about the war in Ukraine, I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to get anywhere. I just know that Russia needs to get out of Ukraine and should never have invaded.
I'm glad it's happening. I don't know if anything's going to come out of it that's going to be positive, but at least it's a start. Maybe something good will happen.
So I think it's great that we're hosting. It makes sense. We're the most strategic place in the world.
I think it's going to be a good meeting.
The two presidents talking about the war in Ukraine.
I think that what we have is a situation that should never have started.
After Russia invaded the country more than 3 years ago.
Tomorrow, all I want to do is set the table for the next meeting, which should happen shortly.
President Trump hinting it might not be the only meeting on our turf.
I'd like to see it actually happen maybe in Alaska, where we just stay because it's so much easier.
Right now, you're taking a live look at JBER, where tomorrow's summit is taking place. This is a live look at the runway there. Preparations well underway for the two leaders' historic appearance. Good evening, maybe in Alaska. That's what President Trump had to say today in the Oval Office about the possibility of another summit in our state.
Yeah, the president's saying that as he set expectations for a potential start of a ceasefire agreement for that historic summit with Russia's President Putin tomorrow on JBER. The president says that he will know within the first 2 to 5 minutes if it will be a, quote, good meeting or a bad meeting, which if the latter, he said, it would end really quickly. But if it's a good meeting, the president said, quote, we're going to end up getting peace in the pretty near future, unquote.
If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself if they'd like to have me there.
NATO Secretary General posted on X that the ball is now in Putin's court. That happened today. And now in a video, the Russian leader praised the U.S. for its attempts at reaching a ceasefire and conduct peace talks.
And that brings us to right now, with just hours left until the historic meeting. We have complete coverage from flight restrictions.
Of course, there are protests underway in Anchorage and Fairbanks. New reaction from Senator Lisa Murkowski, but we start with Augusta McDonald and what she just learned after speaking with Senator Sullivan.
Senator Sullivan emphasized that there's a lot at stake if Russian President Putin does not agree to a ceasefire. President Trump indicating earlier today that he's about 25% confident that could happen. Senator Sullivan told me the next step in the event that there is not an agreement by Russia to stop its aggression against Ukraine is sanctions on purchasers of Russian oil and gas. And he says this could benefit Alaska.
We shouldn't want our close allies buying Russian oil and gas, particularly at this moment. We should be encouraging them to buy Alaskan LNG and Alaskan oil. We have this renaissance going on our North Slope in terms of oil development. The LNG project is making great progress, and thanks in part to President Trump. So it's a great move. I like your analogy of a chess move that, hey, we can sanction Russia and highlight and promote our resources, and I think that's a great move.
This comment really stood out to me today, just in our conversation a few minutes ago, because Governor Dunleavy said something similar to me yesterday, that he would be talking to President Trump about that pipeline at their face-to-face meeting on Friday. Senator Sullivan also responded to international media reports today that Alaskan rare earth minerals could be a bargaining chip in these ceasefire negotiations. But Senator Sullivan told me, quote, we don't want or need Russian investment or support for that. For Alaska's news source, I'm Augusta McDonald.
And our complete coverage continues with Lauren Maxwell.
Yeah, today she talked to Senator Lisa Murkowski about the importance of tomorrow's summit to Alaska. Lauren.
Well, Senator Murkowski says she honestly doesn't know what the outcome will be, although she's not expecting an announcement that the war is over tomorrow. And she told me she does have concerns about inviting Putin here. Also, what could happen if things don't go as planned?
If things do not go well, does that set back the efforts to try to bring about peace in Ukraine, in the region? Things can go sour when you have bad conversations, and we've seen that. So that could happen.
And of course, Murkowski says that she hopes those talks will be positive and lead to the next step, which is bringing President Zelensky in on those negotiations. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
Right now in Fairbanks, dozens of people have gathered in downtown in protest of a visit between President Donald Trump and Putin taking place in Alaska. Adrian Peterson continues our coverage live from the protest.
War criminals not welcome in Alaska. That was the message displayed on social media this week as this protest was being organized. Now, here on the South Cushman Bridge, we have actually 413 protesters here, plenty more than dozens, as I was recently told by one of the protesters. And there are tons of people showing solidarity for Ukraine. As you can see across the street here, there are signs for Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine was actually written on one of the signs in the Ukrainian alphabet. And there are plenty more saying that war crimes, the warrant for war crimes on Putin needs to be served. And earlier, protesters here were chanting, "Donald Trump has got to go." Now, as you look out, you can also see folks with Palestinian flags and wearing keffiyehs, and plenty more that are speaking out against both Putin and Donald Trump and the meeting right here in Alaska. Now, despite all of this protest, we spoke to interior delegates from the legislature earlier today, and they both said no matter what happens, they hope that these talks can at least resolve the war in Ukraine and things can move forward as we look towards a peaceful future. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's news source.
All right, Adrian in Fairbanks, but protesters also gathered in Anchorage ahead of the international summit tomorrow. Let's go to Joe Allgood, who's live at the rally in Anchorage. Joe.
That's right, John. These folks behind me are part of the Alaska Stands with Ukraine rally as the state anticipates the arrival of both President Trump and the arrival of Russian President Vladimir Putin. These protesters say they want the message to be sent to both leaders that Alaska stands against authoritarianism. They describe Putin as a war criminal, and they strongly decry his and Russia's military actions in the country of Ukraine. They've been out here for a couple hours, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be wrapping up anytime soon. We'll bring you more updates tonight on the late edition. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Now, in response to the Trump-Putin summit, the FAA says a temporary flight restriction will be in place for Anchorage.
Investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn spoke with NORAD today, and he joins us from outside Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. Johnson.
That's right, John. I'm standing here, as you just mentioned, in front of J-Bear, where that summit is scheduled to take place tomorrow. And as you can see behind me, the media presence is really starting to gather here. As for those restrictions, though, I did speak with NORAD's Director of Operations for the Alaska region, who urged the importance of all Alaska aviators making sure that they check in on those flight restriction updates as frequently as possible because they are subject to change.
We take all of the TFRs very, very seriously, and this one is no exception to that.
Colonel Kristen Whaley says the TFR is currently in place between 9:30 a.m. and 6:45 p.m., but those times are likely to change. Whaley says her office is well aware of these restrictions having an impact on the typical operations of the state's regular aviation, which is why she strongly urges pilots to stay checked in with the FAA's Notice to Airmen, or NOTAMs, throughout the day.
The most important thing for aviators to do is check the NOTAMs, and if they are flying on an approved flight plan, that they have good communication with air traffic control, because ATC will be able to give our aviators the most up-to-date information regarding the TFR once they have departed their airfield.
Now, as a reminder, those restrictions do not affect commercial flights. And to stay up to date, we've provided all of that information on our website and mobile app. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
Now, our news app push alerts are the quickest way to know when the president arrives and stay up to date on news as we learn it. Just search for the app in your favorite app store.
And if you're looking to the skies to get a glimpse of a rare plane or two or visiting from out of town, let's make sure you know what weather to expect.
That's right. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry, here we go. How we doing, Melissa?
Doing great. We are looking at pretty decent conditions for anyone visiting from out of town and Alaskans alike. The clouds clearing just in time. Rain showers wrapping up tonight. And that storm that's been with us, it is moving out. We will still see those showers to the north and east, but across south central, you can see the clouds have already cleared Kenai Peninsula. A few showers remaining in the valley. As we look at conditions closer to J-Bear, it is closer to the water. We will hold on to some morning cloud cover there early in the day. Even a little drizzle is possible early in the day, but I do expect that to clear as the day goes on. So if you're heading out and about tonight, again, just some broken cloud cover. We'll see those temperatures dropping to the low 50s eventually by early tomorrow morning. Again, some morning clouds, a little bit of that marine layer, a few chances for some light rain showers, but that does all clear as we move through the day. Low 50s at 10 o'clock. We'll see those temperatures climbing back into the upper 50s by 1 o'clock, and eventually we'll get all the way back into those 60s with more sunshine on the way for the second half of the day. Now, if you're sticking around South Central for the weekend, we are looking at some very nice conditions, more sunshine, warmer temperatures. I'll have a closer look at that detailed forecast and your statewide forecast here in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Melissa. Still ahead, as hotel rooms run out for the summit in Alaska, the University of Alaska Anchorage opening its doors. See how they're accommodating U.S. and Russian delegates to the high-profile meeting.
And, how do you feel about the meeting between the world leaders? We're going to hit the street, get the pulse of the people. And right now, you're taking a live look at J-Bear, where that historic meeting between President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin will be taking place in less than 24 hours. It will serve as a potential starting point, of course, to end that war in Ukraine.
Now, American and Russian delegates are staying in UAA dorm rooms in another place on campus before that summit.
That's right. UAA Vice Chancellor Ryan Buchholz says that the White House reached out to the university on Monday requesting to use its dorms, also the Alaska Airlines Center for housing. He says the school is accommodating more than 170 delegates from both the U.S. and Russia. And the university police, they've been working with both state and federal law enforcement for security.
Our main concern is making sure anyone that is staying on campus, whether they are from the United States or Russia or any other locality, is safe, doesn't have to worry about their security, and is able to, do the mission that they're here to do and go back home safely.
Now, because of this request, the Vice Chancellor says a few students were moved to other dorms. UAA students arrived to start the term next Thursday, so he says the timing of the summit is pretty good.
Now, a meeting like this undoubtedly drawing a lot of eyes here in Alaska and some mixed feelings.
Now, we went out to see how some of you are feeling about the summit.
I don't think this will fix it, but we got to pay attention to it whether you want to or not.
I don't think that there's much attention on the issues that are important to Alaskans, especially given our proximity to Russia.
I think it's great. Why would it not be a good idea to have some excitement about your state? It's beautiful. Everybody ought to come. Maybe they'll see it and they'll come here.
Now, besides the obvious possible peace between Ukraine and Russia, there are other things at stake tomorrow. Resolving the conflict quickly was one of President Trump's campaign promises. Possible land swaps between the countries also hang in the balance. Russian President Vladimir Putin is also wanting to end his country's, quote, exile from the Western financial system and have economic sanctions lifted.
Coming up, we're going to take a detailed look at that forecast for tomorrow here in Anchorage and look across the state ahead to the weekend. First of all, if you're heading out and about tonight, temperatures right about 60 degrees for many Alaskans. A little cloud cover lingering in Anchorage and Palmer. Showers into Fairbanks, and those showers on the way for Ketchikan.